Hey everyone, it's Colin. How's it going? This time I'm going to see what it takes to make these headphones be more like these. Alright, so these are my Audio-Technica ATH AD700s. These are my, what I call daily driver headphones. I wear these every single day for at least a few hours a day. I've had them for probably 8 or 9 years now. They came highly recommended. I absolutely love them. They're an open back design, so they're not a sealed type of headphone. You can still hear the sounds around you, and if you crank these up enough, other people can hear what you're listening to. So you get a really nice kind of open spatial kind of sound, right? It's not like it's real in your brain. It's kind of a very relaxed, I guess you could say, type of sound, environment, type of ambiance that these have. And they're, I would say, fairly neutral in the way that they actually sound. I mean, they're not like real super heavy on the bass, and they're not super crisp on the high end. These are kind of targeted as audiophile type headphones, so they're not going to skew too heavily in one direction or another in terms of the way that they sound, targeting certain genres of music or anything like that. So I really enjoy listening to these headphones because music sounds really good. But even more than that, the thing that I love about these headphones is their comfort. These are easily the most comfortable headphones that I've ever worn. I would pick these over any other headphones, even over any sort of in-ears or earbuds any day of the week. They look like they would weigh a ton, but they're actually surprisingly lightweight. And the thing is, they don't clamp on your head real tight, and they don't put a lot of pressure on your head. So they just kind of disappear after you've been wearing them for a while. The problem with these though, the drivers in them are starting to wear out a little bit. At certain frequencies and at certain sound levels, they're starting to kind of buzz or rattle, and that's getting a bit annoying. I could probably just go and buy replacement drivers, and I don't know how expensive that would be. I'd imagine it'd be fairly cheap, maybe 30 bucks in parts, something like that. And then I could get these fixed up and, and move on. But I've had them for 8 or 9 years. I've worn them every single day for at least a few hours a day. They're showing some wear in other places. Not enough for me to not want to use them anymore, but I figure, you know what, if I'm going to spend some money on headphones, why not look at what else is out there? So I started doing some digging, and instead of buying a replacement pair of AD700s, I figured, okay, well, let's just go with the next thing, and those are these. They actually don't sell the AD700s anymore. They've been replaced with this new model called the AD700X. They are very similar. As you can tell by their design, they didn't really change the formula a whole lot. The same big, gigantic ear cups, the same kind of, two hoop design across the top, the same wing, I don't remember what they call these wing support types of things that go on your head. They're still not very tight on your head in terms of the clamping. They're basically just kind of a new version all around. I happen to like the styling a bit better on these, this purple and champagne, bronze, whatever color you want to call that kind of look. I always thought that was a little weird. The other thing though about the 700Xs is that supposedly they sound a little bit better. And in my experience, that kind of is the case. They do sound a little bit clearer. The big thing though is the low end is a bit deeper. There's a couple of problems with this new model though. The ear pads on the original 700s, it's these velour ear pads. They're nice, they're big, they're soft. They don't put any pressure on your ears themselves, right? The whole idea is these ear cups are so big, they just fit around your ears, and the clamping pressure on the headphones isn't so tight, so they just kind of gently rest there, and they don't get fatiguing. On the 700Xs, the ear pad design got changed. And it got changed in such a way that it does make them put a little bit more pressure on your head. It all has to do with the shape of the pad. On the original 700s, the ear pads slope inwards towards the middle. The 700Xs, they went to this flat ear pad design, which puts more of the pressure on just one part of the pad, so it can get a little bit fatiguing over time. The other thing about these headphones though that's really different that I also need to deal with is the cable. The cable on the original AD700s, let me get those out of the way, is fantastic. This cable is amazing. I don't know what they make the jacket out of, but it's super compliant cable. It doesn't have a memory effect. It just stays where you put it, right? But it also doesn't really want to spring back straight. So you've seen those silicone kind of cables that you get usually with like the earphones that come in the box with a smartphone, and the cable just wants to spring back out straight again. What's nice about this cable is it doesn't want to do that, but it also never kept the memory from the package. So you can just lay it out and it'll just stay there, right? Where they went wrong with the 700Xs is they cheapened out on this cable quality substantially. It's got a little bit of that springy kind of feel to it, like a silicone cable would, but it's not. It doesn't want to spring out straight. It really just wants to keep the shape from the package. I've tried for a couple of months now. These headphones were not a recent purchase. I've actually had these for a few months. I've tried for quite a while to straighten this cable out through various means, and I just can't. And that can get really annoying. So if you're wearing the headphones and the cable keeps wanting to spring forward, like when I wear these, this thing keeps wanting to smack me in the face. And that just sucks. And it's a real bummer considering the rest of the headphone is so good. So I realize this was a very long introduction kind of segment, but I wanted to explain why I'm doing this, because otherwise I'm sure a bunch of people down in the comments would be like, well, why are you even bothering? What I want to do is ultimately take the 700Xs and move over to them some of the best qualities from the 700s. So how am I going to mod them, you ask? Very good question. I am going to use some parts. I went and called up Audio-Technica, their parts department, and ordered these. I ordered some extras, but basically these are replacement ear pads for the original AD700. These cost me all of about $3.50 each, so like $7 for a pair. I ordered a couple extra pairs just because, you know, why not? I don't know how long they're going to keep those parts around, but these are original AD700 pads, so that should take care of that comfort issue. And I'm reasonably certain they'll just fit on these original headphones. But what about the cable? Well, that's a little bit more complicated, and that's going to be the bulk of the work here, but I ordered a replacement cable. They sell these too. This was, I think, $12. Not a ton of money. It's brand new. It's pre-tinned on the ends, so these individual wires should just be able to solder straight in. Now, the caveat is, I've never actually done a headphone mod before. I've heard of people doing them. In fact, the AD700s, the original ones, were very popular for a couple of mods. One was removing the cable entirely and replacing it with a connector so that you can have a detachable cable. Another one was adding a boom mic because the 700s were actually very popular amongst computer gamers, especially people doing first-person shooters, just because of the sound stage that they offer, that whole open world, open back kind of sound. Apparently it makes, like, you know, relative positioning really good. You can much easier tell if someone's sneaking up behind you or from the side or whatever wearing these open back headphones. So people would, with the 700s, be modding in boom mics so they can get their chat going. So I've read here and there little bits and pieces about how to do this kind of work on these headphones, but I've never done it myself. So this is going to be interesting. Now, thankfully, I don't feel like I've got a ton to lose here. It's not like these are super expensive headphones. The 700s are actually a little bit more of a base model when it comes to, you know, so-called audiophile headphones. These only go for about $100. So yeah, if I totally ruin them, I'm going to be a bit upset. But at the same time, it's not the end of the world. So, you know, I'm not putting myself at any major risk here. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Let's see what it takes to get into these. So the ear pad swap should actually be really straightforward. As I understand it, it's as simple as basically just pulling them off. Okay, and I only need to actually work on the one side to replace this cable. This is the thing that I'm a little apprehensive about because I'm not sure how like tiny the wires and stuff are going to be in here. But it looks like it's just 4 Phillips screws around the outside, and then hopefully it just kind of comes apart. Okay, this is where I need to start being really careful. You can see that there's a wire here. This is what actually goes to the other side. Look at how thin that is. I wasn't expecting it to be super huge and thick, but I need to be very careful because I don't want to damage this. That would be very annoying. They've got the cable running through this strain relief grommet on the bottom. Oh yeah, okay, I can feed some through there, so that helps. But still, I've got to be careful of this wire. So it looks like I've got 3 more screws to take out so I can take this cover off. That might separate it from the rest of this plastic. And then I can get in there and see what it will take to remove basically this big cable from this side. Okay, so undoing those screws basically release this whole thing. You have to undo that little clip, and then this comes up, and that's just a chrome plastic trim cover thing. And then now we've got the driver itself kind of released from the wire. Now I don't think I actually want to take the driver out. What I think I want to do is feed enough of this through, of this old cable, to give myself some room to work so that I can kind of flip this out here. Because I don't want to unsolder that thin little wire going to the other side. So I'm just going to do something, yeah, like that, maybe. And then we'll try and set that up so I can solder that well. Oh boy, those are tiny wires. Okay, before I go and do anything really stupid here and just jump into desoldering these, one thing that I noticed is that these individual wires look a bit different than the wires on the replacement cable. I'm not so worried about the fact that the wires on the replacement cable are thicker. The thing is, the colors don't quite match. So what I want to do is stick the multimeter on each of these wires and figure out which one is which in relation to the plug. That way I can make sure that I'm rewiring the new cable correctly. Okay, so there you go. I got that one desoldered. What's interesting is they tied it in a knot like that to keep it from pulling out, to act as kind of a strain relief. I'll have to remember to do similar with the new cable. Boy, look at how thin that is. Look at how thin that wiring is compared to the outer jacket. Oh, I'm really glad I'm replacing this cable. Like, compare that to the new one. Look at how much nicer this new one is. Okay. Goodbye, old crappy wire. Goodbye. It's kind of like about that much, right? That seems about right. Okay, I gotta do the same thing as before with the multimeter, figure out which wire goes where. Basically, blue is like the copper wire from before. Red is that top connector, and white is the middle one, so it's going in something kind of like that. All right, cool. Have I ever mentioned that it sucks soldering on camera? Because soldering on camera sucks. All right, let's see what it takes to put this all back together again here, huh? Oh, you know what would help? Help if I put the driver in facing the right way. I mean, yeah, I know they're open back headphones, but I don't think they're supposed to be that open. All right, final piece to all this. Let's put some ear pads on here. Oh, the thicker side, the bigger side goes on the ramped up side, maybe? All right, so I've gotten these new headphones buttoned up. New ear pads, new cable. Let's first see how they feel, and then we'll see if they still work. Yeah, those feel a lot better. They don't have nearly as much pressure on the side of your head as with these old flat pads. You would think that these wing deals on the top would maybe put a little bit more pressure because they're cut out and not a solid design like the previous model, but you can't really tell the difference. You never really feel them very much either. It's kind of a strange thing. You would think you'd feel these two little wing pads pushing against the top of your head, but you don't. They just kind of disappear. And that's the thing that I love about these headphones so much, is you can't really tell that you're wearing them after a while. It's kind of the same as if like you wear glasses. You know, you when you first put them on in the morning, you can kind of tell that you're wearing glasses, but throughout the day you just forget that you have them on. It's the same thing with these headphones and their comfort. So replacing the pads definitely made a huge difference. Let me get my little amp turned down over here, and let's play a track and see what we get. I'm getting sound out of both ears, so that's a good sign. Yeah, it sounds like they normally do. So I would call this one a success. We were able to replace that cable despite the fact that it's super tiny wiring and you know, real tight tolerances inside these headphones. It actually really wasn't too bad. The ear pads, I would say, if you're going to do anything, replace the ear pads, and that's not something unique just to these headphones either. There's this entire kind of subculture to modifying and upgrading headphones. Go over to the web forums called Headphone. That's where I got a lot of the information about doing this mod from. The cable replacement I kind of came up with on my own, but it was through reading various forum posts and everything over at Headphone that I found out about like the pads being interchangeable between the two models, that sort of thing. So if you're curious about getting deeper into this, trying to make your headphones be better than they are, there's plenty of resources online to do it. But anyway, I'm definitely calling this one a success. It wasn't very expensive either, considering the part cost for the pads and the cable plus a little bit for shipping. I would say you could do this exact same mod for less than 20 bucks. And it overall has a pretty dramatic improvement on the comfort of the headphones, as well as just this cable being way less annoying and just going where you want it to. So anyway, if you like this one, I would appreciate a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at thisdoesnotcomp. And as always, thanks for watching.